and he's had some great moments on the microphone as well in that time. Not just the wide to west try, but there's loads of other ones I remember. There was when Wigan beat Bradford late on when Farrell to Renouf to Radlinski, I think was the try, and that was a brilliant piece of commentary that I still enjoy listening, and all the other moments as well, I suppose. They've maybe
the Ryan Hall try from a few years ago.
Yeah,
that was a particularly special one.
Now maybe I agree with the sentiment that time has possibly passed that we should have been looking at kind of a change in direction, let's say, from the Sky team rather than necessarily.
Well, I think if you look at
problem.
No, I don't think he was. Yeah,
I think big panel of people is Eddie Hemmings wasn't brought along in the game and in the commentating game, as it were, managing that sort of big panel of people, and so it that's all changed around him, and I just think it took away from his ability to describe the moments sometimes, because he always then could feel...
He's fighting for airtime. He's fighting for airtime against 5 other people, yeah.
But definitely, like you said, he is the voice of rugby league to us in so many ways, so it will be strange to see him go. I kind of hope that Sky will look for someone... if they go with who they've already got on the team, I'd rather Ben Pro got more time than Bill Arthur. I don't think... I can't imagine Bill Arthur coming up with kind of a wide to west moment. It just doesn't seem like it's been there so far. So I don't know. But
he's very steady. He's very steady away. He's very good, I think, in that role as the change-up commentator. Yeah. I don't think necessarily.
Yeah, because his knowledge and stuff is secure, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily the
voice of the game.
Yeah, or the one you want for the big matches. And kind of, I suppose we've not seen it as much of Ben Pro, but it's probably the similar sort of thing. I'd almost rather than pick someone outside.
Yeah.
Outside the bubble.
Take someone off of a radio commentary crew, maybe, potentially.
Yeah. Well, George Riley's looking for a job.
I thought he had a job on our league now.
Does he? Oh, was he?
He was doing the R-League coverage of the championship game the other week.
Oh, I had it on mute.
Yeah.
That's why. Well, there we go. That's good. That's the fear. That's what we could end up with.
Oh. Well, we'll go from Eddie, who every fan claimed that he supported the other team on our side of the Pennines, to if we went to someone like George Riley, it's fucking obvious who he supports. There's only one team he supports. There's only one team he talks about positively. So that'd be interesting. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest with you. Tim, right. You going to throw your hands in your name into the hat?
Well, why not? Yeah, I'd do a good job. I'm sure I'd do better than Stuart Cummins in his comments.
Fair enough. Right, that has been a very lengthy news section. We are going to struggle on our 2 hours this week. So let's move along swiftly to the Super League match reviews. It was round 4 of Super League this weekend, and an average attendance of 7,186 turned out. This was the third ranked average attendance of 4 rounds so far this season, just edging above last weekend's average attendance. And the first game, as always, Thursday night. We're going to let you take us through this one primarily, Tim. So what did we see?
Yeah, so we had Thursday night on Sky down at the AJ Bell. It was finished Salford 4, St Helens 26, and it was 0-16 at half time in front of 4,064. So it's held up fairly well for a Thursday night, and refereed by Mr. Ben Failer.
Yeah, there was a good number of Saints fans, I think. That miniature stand. Yep.
In terms of stats, this game had the most tackles so far in 2019, 813, and marker tackles at 147. The winning side, St Helens, made more of both, also missed fewer tackles to get to a 5.1% better team tackle success rate, building this win on solid defence. They were better in attack too, with 383 more metres at 1.7 metres per carry better gain and 7-2 in clean breaks. One area the Saints may have to concern is on discipline, where they conceded 7 penalties to 4 from Salford. For the winning St Helens side, Tommy Makinson made 7 tackle busts and ran for a whopping 227 metres. Mark Percival with 1 try and running for 157 metres. Lachlan Coote made 2 try assists and ran for 133 metres. And James Roby surprisingly makes a stat line with just the 2 tries and 50 tackles this week. And how many do you reckon he missed, Mark?
0.
Exactly, he missed no tackles.
Legend, isn't he?
He's just too good. He's going to win this Man of Steel by about June. Now it's in this new form. He's probably going to have had it sewn up, but mathematically it's ridiculous, but also brilliant at the same time that we get to watch this.
It's hard for a St Helens game to exist and him not be in the top 3 players.
Yeah.
It's going to take an outstanding effort from St Helens' opposition team for him not to be in the top 3 players in a game that St Helens play.
A serious injury in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to talk about that option.
No. For the losing Salford side, Ken Seo made 156 metres. Daryl Alforts picked up a try and 112 metres. Jackson Hastings, quite a night by his standards, running for 105 metres. And Jansen Turgett making 44 tackles and also running for 100 metres. We had lots of fan views on this one, unsurprisingly, for a Thursday night game. Mark, why don't you kick us off?
Yes, surprise, surprise. The first fan review came in from Carson, who told me on Sunday that the reason he gets them in so quickly is because he's worried he'll forget what happened.
I have a lot of sympathy with that view because I've definitely done that.
Carson said, pretty good by Saints, and Roby, the outstanding player, as usual. Salford were good, but it wasn't enough. Can we give Roby the Man of Steel right now? Oh, and the last 2 minutes without Phil Clark was the best commentary this year.
Yeah. Back to the previous conversation about it. If we are having a clean up, can we just install Phil Clark somewhere else? Because he's definitely dated in his commentary. It's interesting because I used to really enjoy his commentary because he was more stats and analytical. But I'm sure the last 5 years he's definitely gone off the boil.
At least he acts as a little bit of a devil's advocate to the other opinions that often can be quite samey. But yeah, most people would say get rid of him too. But let's move on to what Owen Hughes had to say instead.
Yeah, Owen said, good performance from the Saints, did what they needed to do. Gave me help for Salford, though. We think we showed the courage and determination that will keep us up even with a few injuries. Hopefully not famous last words.
St David said, as damp as a duck's anus. Saints.
Can we have that as an episode title? Probably not.
I'm not sure. Saints played very mature, controlled, patient rugby throughout and won with ease, with Lomax and Roby dictating play. Bit worried that Alex didn't reappear in the second half. Fingers crossed, onwards.
At Jonesy LFC 7752, first half Saints ball attention was great. Sorry. Saints ball attention was great, worked well in the conditions. Salford let us walk out our 20, too easy second half, bit scrappy. Roby with a try at the show. What a machine he is.
Yeah, thanks. Jonesy, that's a new one on me, so thanks for getting in touch. Help us out with a couple of full stops next time. but great for you. Thanks for getting in touch, for sure. And Roby is a machine. Shoddy and Mungo said, I reckon Saints' crappy kicking game might be the rugby league gods' way of keeping the league competitive this year. Yeah, they don't seem to know who's going to be, who should be kicking goals, really, do they? Lachlan Coote was 3 out of 5 this week when... obviously, Mark Percival didn't fancy it.
No, yeah, he also did decide not to. I suppose that's the one thing they do lose without Richardson, isn't it?
It was a really interesting takeaway from the pre-game build-up with John Wilkin, which was basically that it is Percival saying, I don't fancy it, and then he doesn't kick, whereas he's probably the most talented goal kicker in the side, but he just seems to either lack confidence or desire to work on it. But yeah, it could be a problem. Similarly, it might be an issue for Warrington as well. So Cass and Paul McShane will be rubbing their hands at the situation, kicking elsewhere, I think.
Yeah, where are we up to? Frogmore says, Saints were good, Roby was great. Salford were as bad as Hastings' haircut.
Oh, did you see some poor lad had gone out and got a...
Yeah.
Oh, poor lad. I'd be giving him a free season ticket, not just a free ticket to one game if I was Jackson Hastings. That's not the inspiring you need to be doing.
Or like ear warmers that kind of cover up that bit. Like perhaps like a deerstalker hat with the flaps that come down to sort of hide it. Talking about Hastings, I think the commentary was grossly blowing out of proportion his talent level. He's good in a team full of shit and only shines against bum teams.
Lee Whitnell said, James Roby was a great player before, but he seems to have gone up a notch since he met my under-7s. Inspiration can come in small packages. You're welcome, James. You're very welcome.
Paul Chamberlain says, we know Saints are good. First view of Salford this season, and given they started from a worse position than Widnes last year, very impressed. Well organised, committed and competitive. Kudos to Watson and the board. A few injuries will impact upon a small squad, but they seem to be moving in the right direction. Hastings is filthy and pure money, whilst Lees continues to impress every time I see him. Nice crowd.
Yeah, I agree with credit to Watson. Brendan Loftus said, scoreline a bit harsh on Salford as I thought they were pretty well drilled and competed well. They showed great desire in the chase down of Makinson, which led to the final try. Losing Mossop certainly didn't help them. The weather didn't help Saints, but they always seem to have enough. Yeah, we'll probably talk about Mossop more maybe in previewing stuff, but he's out for 4 weeks, and it's a thin squad, as a few of the people have mentioned. So, losing probably your best prop forward is going to be difficult. But talk about the...
Yeah, it doesn't leave them much in that forward cupboard, does it?
No.
They offloaded Kopchak in the off season. That's a real loss for them.
Yeah, Tassie left as well, didn't he? As well, so they're thin all over. The squad's thin all over. Though they don't have the money to spend, so any sort of major injury to a frontline player might be problematic. And he didn't play. He got injured. What was it in his first spell in this game? So in the first 10 minutes or so. So yeah, interesting to see how they deal with that. Hopefully, they can. But what did you make of this game?
I mean, I quite enjoyed it as a watch. I thought Saints, it was very much a defensive performance. I didn't think that they quite found the gears that they've got, but they knew what they had to do, and they got a clear game plan in terms of we need to get a couple of early scores and then defend, and we should be okay, and we should have enough to see us through. And I think that's exactly what they did. I think, as normal, their pack stood up very well. I particularly like Percival's try. That was probably my favourite. The kick from Farge, where he really used the mist and the conditions, I think, and he used that so it was high and swirling, so it was going to be really hard to compete for unless you knew it was coming.
Yeah, and he's done that a few times before. He did it late in a game to win against Wigan. Was it the regular season game last year at St Helens? Yeah, I think it was. So Percival's got that in his locker, and Farge put the kick on a dime for him.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really nice play, and I enjoyed that. As always, thought Luke Thompson did well. Perhaps not fully on song, but he was
he still had 120 meters or so. So
he's a
great player, isn't he?
And it's I just hope we get to see him in Super League for as long as possible, because I think he's someone who could definitely play and dominate in the NRL.
He's phenomenal. He is brilliant. That starting front three for St Helens is great, and the game, it didn't really get going fully, did it? I suppose until 20 minutes or so in, the first try was scored. It was very much an arm wrestle kind of defensive wet weather game. There was that sort of stuff going on. So do you think Saints are showing that they're a bit more resilient than maybe the Saints side from last year, with wins like this built around defence and winning the energy battle? I mean, that try where Roby gets right up there at the end of the game to go over and score, that sort of stuff, is that the kind of stuff that maybe they were outdone by teams like Wigan last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think realistically, this game last year probably would have been 10-4 rather than 26-4. And I think because they've got that extra grit and that grind,